Welcome to Famous People, English Stories. Ready to level up your English? Here we learn through stories slow, clear, and fun. Listen, relax, and enjoy the journey.
Introduction. In this story, you'll follow Emma, a young woman who struggled with grammar and confidence but found her voice through patience, practice, and perseverance. From her first embarrassing mistakes to becoming a teacher and inspiring others, Emma's journey shows that every error is a chance to grow, and even the smallest step forward in English can change your life. So stay with us until the end. Every chapter brings a lesson, and every mistake becomes a milestone. And now, let's learn from each other. What's one grammar mistake you make most often in English? Write it in the comments. Let's grow together, one sentence at a time. Chapter 1: The Mistake That Changed Everything. Emma stood in front of the mirror, smoothing her navy blue blazer for the 5th time that morning. Her first job interview in a foreign country was just 1 hour away. She was nervous, not because she lacked skills, but because she knew her English wasn't perfect. Especially her grammar. She had always been a fast learner, quick on her feet and full of ideas. But grammar? That was her weak point. Back in her hometown in Spain, Emma had learned English through TV shows and social media. She could understand most conversations and even write emails. But she often mixed up tenses, skipped articles, and said things like, "She go to office yesterday," or "he have many works." Emma knew her mistakes. She had even made a list of them once. But somehow, they kept showing up in her writing and speech. And now, heading into a job interview for an English-speaking marketing agency, she feared that one wrong sentence might cost her the chance. As she grabbed her bag and stepped outside, her phone buzzed. It was a message from her friend Maya, who had helped her prepare. "Remember, speak slow, stay calm, and if you make a mistake, fix it with confidence," the message read. Emma smiled and typed back, "Thank you. I will doing my best." Then she paused. "I will doing my best?" That didn't sound right. She deleted the message and rewrote it, "I will do my best." Much better. That tiny correction felt like a small victory. She realized then, fixing grammar wasn't about knowing everything, it was about paying attention. Being present. On the train, Emma opened her notebook. She had written down the most common grammar rules she often got wrong. She read them again, slowly. 1. Subject-verb agreement. She writes, not she write. They are, not they is. 2. Verb tense consistency. I went to the store, not I go to the store yesterday. 3. Articles, a, and, the. I need a pen. The pen is on the table. Emma repeated each one out loud under her breath. Passengers nearby looked at her with curiosity, but she didn't mind. She was on a mission, not just to get the job, but to finally fix the grammar mistakes that had followed her for years. At the office lobby, Emma sat down and took one last look at her notes. Then she closed her notebook, took a deep breath, and walked into the interview room. A tall woman with glasses greeted her. "Good morning, Emma. Please, have a seat." "Thank you," Emma replied. I am excited to be here." She had almost said "I'm excited to hear," but she caught herself in time. The interview went better than she expected. She smiled, answered clearly, and when she made a grammar mistake, because yes, she made one or two, she stopped, corrected herself, and moved on. One of the interviewers even said, "I like how you fix your own grammar. It shows you're always learning." That evening, back at home, Emma stared at her phone, waiting. Then, finally, the message came. "Congratulations. We'd love to welcome you to our team." She had done it. Not because her English was perfect, but because she was willing to learn from her mistakes and grow. And that was just the beginning. Emma didn't stop there. She made it her mission to master English grammar, and along the way, she discovered simple strategies that turned learning into a story of progress, not pressure. But more on that in the next chapter. Chapter 2: The Notebook of Mistakes. The next morning, Emma woke up early. Sunlight poured into her tiny apartment, and the sound of birds outside felt like music after the storm of nerves from yesterday. She had a job now, a real job, in English, and yet she couldn't stop thinking about the small errors she made during the interview. Not out of shame, but curiosity. Why did her brain say he have when she knew it should be he has? Why did she sometimes forget the article a or mix up in and on? She sat at her kitchen table with a cup of coffee and opened her notebook again. But instead of reviewing grammar rules, this time she started a new page. At the top, she wrote, "My notebook of mistakes and how to fix them." She wanted to turn every mistake into a teacher. No more fear. No more guessing. Every error had a message, and she was ready to listen. She thought back to the message she had typed to Maya the day before, "I will doing my best." Why had that felt wrong? Then she remembered what she had read about future tense. Will is followed by the base form of the verb. Not doing, but do. So the correct form is I will do. She wrote it down. Wrong, I will doing my best. Correct, I will do my best. Why, will is followed by the base verb, not the ing form. She grinned. It felt like solving a puzzle. Then she remembered a sentence she had said at the interview, "She have a strong opinion." She had corrected herself quickly to "she has," but still, it bothered her. She added it to the list. Wrong, she have a strong opinion. Correct, she has a strong opinion. Why, for he, she, and it, use has, not have. She went on, line by line, building her personal grammar guide, one mistake at a time. Instead of copying textbook rules, she used real examples from her life. It wasn't just theory, it was her story. She decided to give herself a challenge. Every day, she would notice one mistake, understand why it was wrong, and fix it. Then write it down. That day, at work, she was sending a message to a coworker. "I am agree with your idea," she wrote. She paused again. Wait. That wasn't right. Agree is not an adjective. It's a verb. Am agree doesn't work. She corrected it, "I agree with your idea." Another line in the notebook. Wrong, I am agree. Correct, I agree. Why, agree is a verb, not something you are. Just say I agree. It was becoming a habit. And soon, it became a hobby. Emma started to notice patterns. Most of her mistakes came from translating directly from Spanish. In her native language, people often say the equivalent of I am agree. So her brain had simply copied the pattern. Now she saw the root of the problem, not grammar, but habit. And that meant she could change it. Each day, she looked forward to filling her notebook. It wasn't full of red marks or judgments. It was full of progress. She even created sections. Articles a, and, the. Prepositions in, on, at. Tenses, past, present, future. Subject-verb agreement. Common verbs do, make, have, take. Her favorite section became funny mistakes. Like the time she had said, I did a picture, instead of I drew a picture. She had laughed so hard she almost spilled her tea. But she never forgot the difference again. She started to teach these tips to her new coworkers who were also non-native English speakers. They formed a small grammar group that met every Friday. Each person brought one sentence they had said or heard that week. They fixed it together, talked about why it was wrong, and practiced the correct version. One day, her manager passed by and said, I love how you all support each other. That's the kind of team spirit we need. Emma smiled. Her grammar mistakes had once been her biggest fear, but now, they were helping her connect with others. She looked down at her notebook and added one last line for the day. Mistakes are not failures. They are bridges to better English. That sentence stayed in her heart. Because it wasn't just about grammar anymore, it was about mindset. And Emma was just getting started. Chapter 3: The Power of Practice and Patience. Emma's notebook had become her constant companion. She carried it everywhere, in her handbag, on the bus, and even on breaks at work. Every time she caught herself making a grammar mistake, she jotted it down, along with the correction and a simple explanation. But she knew just knowing the rules wasn't enough. To really fix her English grammar, she had to practice. And practice meant more than memorizing, it meant using grammar correctly in real life. One rainy afternoon, after a long day at work, Emma sat at her favorite cafe with a cup of hot tea and opened her notebook. She flipped to the section titled Subject-Verb Agreement, which she still found tricky sometimes. She decided to make a list of sentences and say them aloud. She spoke slowly and clearly. I am happy. They are ready. He goes to school. She has a dog. She noticed that saying the sentences out loud helped her brain connect the correct forms with the sounds and rhythm of English. It wasn't just about writing or reading anymore, it was about speaking with confidence. Emma realized that when she was nervous, her sentences tended to get messy. She'd rush, skip words, and sometimes forget the grammar rules she'd studied. So she made a new rule for herself. Speak slowly. Think clearly. Fix mistakes as they come. She practiced this rule every day. At work, during meetings, she listened carefully and repeated important points in her own words. If she made a grammar mistake, she corrected herself calmly. One day, during a team brainstorming session, Emma wanted to share an idea about a new marketing campaign. she said. I think we should focus on social media more. She stopped immediately. Focus, she corrected herself. I think we should focus on social media more. Her team smiled. No one laughed or judged. They appreciated her honesty and clarity. Her confidence grew with each correction. Emma also discovered the power of reading. She borrowed English novels and newspapers from the local library. At first, the words seemed strange and the sentences long. But she didn't give up. Every time she found a sentence that confused her, she wrote it down in her notebook. Then she looked up meanings and grammar explanations online. She practiced writing similar sentences herself. One of her favorite books was a novel by Jane Austen. The way Austen used English was beautiful and precise. Emma copied some sentences by hand just to feel the flow of the language. Reading helped Emma see grammar in action, not just as rules but as part of stories and ideas. She also began watching English shows with subtitles. This helped her hear grammar in everyday speech. Sometimes characters used slang or shortcuts, but she paid attention to formal speech too. Emma learned to balance listening, reading, and speaking practice. She even started writing short journal entries every night in English, describing her day and her thoughts. One evening, she wrote, "Today, I met new people at work. I am happy to learn with them. I will keep practicing and improving my grammar every day." The next morning, she checked the sentence and smiled. She had written it correctly. The key, she realized, was patience. English was a marathon, not a sprint. Mistakes would happen. But with every mistake, she learned something new. Emma's journey was no longer scary, it was exciting. She wasn't just fixing grammar, she was building a new way to express herself, a new way to connect with the world. And with every small victory, Emma's confidence grew stronger. She was ready for whatever English threw at her next. Chapter 4. Strategies that changed everything. Emma's confidence was growing, but she knew that to truly master English grammar, she needed more than just practice and patience. She needed clear strategies, ways to recognize mistakes quickly and fix them without hesitation. One Saturday morning, she sat at her desk with a fresh cup of tea and opened her notebook. She wrote a new title on a clean page. Strategies to fix my grammar mistakes. She decided to break down the steps she had learned from experience and research. This was her chance to organize all her efforts into a simple system. First, Emma wrote down 1. Listen carefully. She reminded herself that listening to native speakers helped her notice natural sentence patterns. Whether it was podcasts, movies, or conversations, paying close attention was the first step to understanding grammar in context. She practiced active listening. When she heard a sentence, she paused and repeated it silently to check if it sounded right. She wrote an example. He doesn't like coffee. She remembered hearing this sentence several times and how the verb doesn't match he, not don't. Emma added a note. Subject-verb agreement is easier when I listen to real English. Next, she wrote. 2. Slow down when speaking. Emma recalled many times she had rushed her words and made mistakes. Speaking slower gave her time to think and avoid errors. She reminded herself, mistakes are okay, but I want to fix them as soon as I notice. On the page, she wrote a little mantra. Pause. Think. Speak. The third strategy was one Emma found very helpful. 3. Correct yourself immediately. Instead of ignoring mistakes, Emma learned to fix them in the moment. For example, if she said, she don't like pizza, she stopped and repeated, she doesn't like pizza. She knew this showed others she was learning and helped her brain remember the correct form. She wrote, correction builds confidence and memory. Emma added another important strategy. 4. Use visual aids. Grammar rules can feel abstract. But Emma found that charts, color-coded notes, and diagrams made complicated ideas clearer. She made a small chart for verb tenses showing the base form, past simple, and past participle. She also drew a table for articles, a, an, and the, with examples for each. By turning rules into pictures, Emma found it easier to remember them. Finally, Emma wrote her favorite strategy. 5. Practice with real sentences. Emma stopped studying isolated grammar points. Instead, she focused on sentences she used every day. She practiced writing emails, chatting with coworkers, and telling stories, all while checking her grammar. This real-world practice helped her connect grammar to communication. Emma smiled as she looked over her list. These strategies weren't complicated, but they were powerful. She decided to share them with her friends during the next grammar group meeting. When Friday came, Emma stood in front of the small group and said, I want to share 5 strategies that helped me fix my grammar mistakes. They helped me speak better and feel more confident. Her friends listened carefully as she explained each step. After the meeting, her friend Carlos said, Emma, these strategies are simple but very useful. I'm going to try them too. Emma felt proud. Her journey wasn't just about her anymore, it was about helping others. That night, she wrote in her journal, fixing grammar mistakes is not about being perfect. It's about being brave, patient, and smart. Emma's English was improving every day because she had learned to see mistakes not as obstacles but as guides. Her story was still unfolding, and she couldn't wait to discover what came next. Chapter 5: The Big Presentation. Emma's hard work and growing confidence soon led to a new opportunity at work. One morning, her manager called her into the office. We have a client meeting next week, he said. I'd like you to prepare and present a short report on our latest project. It's a great chance for you to show your skills. Emma felt a mixture of excitement and nerves. Speaking in front of others was still challenging, and the thought of making grammar mistakes in such an important meeting worried her. But she remembered her notebook and the strategies she had developed. She went home that day and began preparing. First, she wrote her presentation carefully, sentence by sentence. She checked every verb tense, subject-verb agreement, and article use. She read it aloud, speaking slowly and clearly. Next, she practiced correcting herself. When she stumbled on a sentence, she stopped and repeated it correctly. Emma also recorded herself on her phone. Listening to the playback, she spotted a few mistakes she hadn't noticed before. She made notes and practiced those parts again. She asked her friends from the grammar group to listen to her presentation. They gave helpful feedback and cheered her on. The night before the presentation, Emma felt tired but confident. She reminded herself, "Mistakes are bridges to better English." On the day of the meeting, Emma arrived early, took a deep breath, and walked into the room. As she spoke, she kept her pace slow and steady. When she caught herself making a small mistake, she calmly corrected it without apology. Her audience listened attentively. When she finished, the room filled with applause. Her manager smiled and said, "Excellent job, Emma. Your English has improved so much. Keep it up." Emma felt a wave of pride. She had faced her fear and turned her mistakes into strength. That day, she learned that fixing grammar mistakes was more than rules. It was about courage, practice, and believing in herself. Her journey was far from over, but Emma was ready for whatever came next. Chapter 6: Sharing the Journey. After the success of her presentation, Emma felt inspired to do more than just improve her own English. She wanted to help others on their journeys too. She began volunteering at a local community center that offered English classes for immigrants and newcomers. Emma knew how difficult learning a new language could be, especially when grammar mistakes made people feel embarrassed or discouraged. At her first class, Emma met a group of eager learners from different countries. They shared their struggles with English, and Emma listened carefully. Instead of just giving rules, Emma decided to share her story, her mistakes, frustrations, and the strategies that helped her. She explained how slowing down, listening carefully, and correcting herself had made a huge difference. Emma introduced simple exercises, like reading short paragraphs aloud, writing daily journal entries, and practicing common sentence patterns. She also encouraged her students to keep their own notebooks, just like she had, to track mistakes and corrections. The students responded with smiles and gratitude. They felt understood and motivated. One student, Maria, said, "I always feared making mistakes when speaking. But hearing your story makes me feel brave enough to try." Emma smiled. That was the moment she realized her journey had come full circle. Helping others fix their grammar mistakes was not only rewarding, it made her feel even stronger in her own skills. She continued to learn and grow alongside her students, celebrating every small victory together. Emma's story was no longer just about fixing grammar mistakes. It was about building a community of learners who supported each other. And as she looked around the classroom, she knew that every mistake was just a step toward success. Chapter 7: Embracing Mistakes as a Path to Success. Emma's journey taught her many lessons, but the most important one was about mindset. She realized that fixing English grammar mistakes was not about being perfect. It was about embracing mistakes as a natural part of learning. One afternoon, Emma sat by the window of her favorite cafe, reflecting on how far she had come. She thought back to the early days when every sentence felt like a challenge and mistakes felt like failures. Now, mistakes were like signposts guiding her, helping her understand what to focus on next. She wrote in her journal, "Mistakes are not my enemies. They are my teachers." Emma's confidence wasn't just about grammar rules anymore. It was about being patient and kind to herself, and being open to learning every day. She also knew that language is living and changing. Sometimes, what's correct depends on the situation. She practiced adapting her grammar to fit formal emails, casual conversations, or creative writing. Emma still studied, listened, and practiced. But now, she did it with joy, not fear. One day, during a casual chat with a friend, Emma accidentally said, "I have went to the store yesterday." Her friend smiled gently and said, "You mean, I went to the store yesterday?" Emma laughed and replied, "Thanks. I'm still learning." That moment reminded her that even fluent speakers make mistakes sometimes. Emma's journey was ongoing, a lifelong adventure. She looked forward to new challenges, new stories, and new ways to grow. Because fixing grammar mistakes wasn't just about language. It was about becoming the best version of herself. Chapter 8: The Future Ahead. Emma sat quietly in her room, her notebook open on the desk. The pages were filled with notes, corrections, and reminders, proof of her hard work and dedication. Looking back, she saw not just the grammar rules she had learned but the journey of growth she had taken. From the shy woman afraid to speak, to someone who could stand confidently in front of a room and share ideas clearly. Emma smiled, knowing her English was still a work in progress, and that was okay. She understood now that language learning was not a race but a journey with no final destination. Her mistakes had shaped her, strengthened her, and opened doors she never imagined. She felt ready for whatever challenge came next, a new conversation, a bigger presentation, or simply a friendly chat. Emma picked up her pen and wrote a final note in her journal. Every mistake is a step forward. Every sentence I speak is progress. I am a learner, and I am proud. With a deep breath, she closed the notebook and looked out the window at the world waiting to be explored. Her story was far from over. It was only just beginning. Chapter 9: A New Language, a New Life. Emma never thought that learning English would lead to a completely new chapter of her life, one full of unexpected turns, challenges, and deeper connections. But it did. It started when her community center asked if she'd be interested in co-hosting a local event, a language and culture night. The idea was to bring together English learners from all backgrounds, share their stories, and build confidence through conversations. Emma hesitated at first. Hosting meant public speaking, introducing guests, managing the stage, everything that had once terrified her. But she knew this was her chance to step even further outside her comfort zone. So she said yes. For weeks, Emma prepared. She wrote and rewrote her introductions and transitions. She worked hard to fix small grammar errors in her script, especially prepositions and verb forms, which still tripped her up occasionally. She practiced phrases like, "We are honored to welcome." "Let's give a warm round of applause." "Next up, we have a wonderful performance." But something unexpected happened as she practiced. She stopped obsessing over every mistake. Instead of focusing on what might go wrong, she began focusing on how to make her audience feel seen and welcome. The night of the event, the room was filled with excitement. People from all walks of life gathered: immigrants, students, local teachers, families. When Emma stepped up to the microphone, her heart raced. She looked at the crowd, smiled, and said, "Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. Tonight, we celebrate not just languages, but the courage it takes to learn and connect." Her voice trembled just a little, but she kept going. She stumbled once. She said, we are proud to have you here." And the crowd smiled with her, not at her. She paused, corrected herself, and moved on with grace. As the night unfolded, Emma felt something shift. She wasn't just hosting, she was connecting. Her story resonated with others, and she could feel the warmth in their eyes. When the event ended, several learners approached her with tears in their eyes. "Thank you," one man said. "I was afraid to speak in English. But tonight, I feel hope." That night, Emma walked home slowly, feeling the cool breeze on her face. She whispered to herself, "Grammar is important. But courage is what carries the words." Chapter 10. Becoming the Teacher. Months passed. Emma kept learning and growing, but something new began to take root in her heart. She wanted to teach. Not just as a volunteer or guest speaker, but as an actual English teacher. At first, she laughed at the idea. "Who am I to teach?" she thought. "I'm still learning myself." But the more time she spent with other learners, the more she realized that her experience was a gift. She didn't want to just recite grammar rules from a book. She wanted to teach from the heart, from the struggles she had faced herself. Emma enrolled in an online TEFL course, teaching English as a foreign language. It was intense. She studied methods, lesson planning, classroom techniques, and grammar theory at a deeper level than ever before. At times, the technical side of grammar overwhelmed her. Terms like past perfect continuous and zero conditional danced around her mind like a foreign language of their own. But she reminded herself, every teacher was once a student. And every mistake brought her closer to understanding. During her course, Emma was asked to create a lesson plan focused on common grammar errors. She chose subject-verb agreement, the very thing she used to struggle with. Her plan was creative. She used storytelling, visuals, and group practice. She added the section where students wrote about a funny grammar mistake they once made and how they learned from it. Her instructor praised her creativity and authenticity. Emma soon completed her certification. She was now an official English teacher. Her first class was nerve-wracking. But the moment she walked in and saw students looking up at her with eager eyes, she felt calm. She wasn't perfect, but she was real. And her students needed real. She began her class with these words. "I know how it feels to worry about grammar. I've been there. But today, we're going to turn that fear into confidence, together." Chapter 11. A message to learners everywhere. As Emma looked back on everything she had been through, from her first grammar notebook to her new teaching position, she knew there was one more thing she had to do. She wanted to share her story beyond the classroom. She decided to start a blog and YouTube channel called Mistakes Made Me Fluent. At first, she recorded with her phone, sitting at her kitchen table. She spoke slowly and clearly, just like she wished someone had done for her. She didn't aim for perfection. If she made a mistake while speaking, she left it in the video and explained how to correct it. In one video, she said, "I used to say, he go to work. But now I know, it's he goes to work." The S matters. Comments began to pour in. I thought I was the only one who made this mistake. Your story gives me hope. Thank you for being honest. It helps me not feel ashamed. Emma responded to every message. She built a community where mistakes were not hidden, but highlighted. Where learning was not rushed, but celebrated. Her videos grew in popularity, not because of flashy editing or perfect grammar, but because of her authenticity. One day, she received a message from a young woman in Brazil. "I almost gave up on English. But your story saved me. Now I speak with confidence. Thank you, Emma." Emma sat in silence for a long time, the message still glowing on her screen. She whispered to herself, "This is why I started. This is why I keep going." Because in the end, fixing English grammar mistakes wasn't just about rules and sentences. It was about human connection, courage, compassion, and most of all, it was about never giving up. Thank you for listening to Emma's journey, from fear and frustration to confidence and connection. Her story shows us that every mistake is a chance to grow, and every word we speak brings us closer to fluency. If Emma's story inspired you, don't stop here. Subscribe to the channel for more powerful English stories that teach and motivate. Like this video if you believe learning can be both meaningful and fun. And in the comments, share one English mistake you've made and how you learned from it. Let's grow together. Remember, your voice matters. Your progress is real. And your story is just beginning. Keep learning, keep speaking, and I'll see you in the next story.